Hello and welcome back, everybody, to session 16 of Ironsworn. I think that's right. Quite a number of them. I remember when we were approaching the 10 mark, and I was all like, my last game only made it 10 sessions. Are we going to beat it or not? And I think the jury is in. We've clearly beaten 10 sessions. We're getting towards the doubling point. So good on us. Granted, thank you. The way it went last time. It's maybe not looking all that much like survival is going to last all that long with how brutal last session was. I know I'm looking for a turnaround on that. I imagine you are.
I am, definitely.
Hey, hello, Frank Fishman. So since last week, I looked into some stuff from Delve. By the way, we're playing Ironsworn. It is a free RPG available at ironswornrpg.com that, among other things, is playable with no GM. So we're kind of doing a co-op campaign right now where we all make decisions. It recently came out with a supplement called Delve. Now, that one is for sale. Highly recommend picking it up. It's got some really cool stuff in it. I admittedly have still not finished reading all of it. I've read a good chunk of it and just haven't had time to get back to it. But one of the things it introduces, which is really cool and really handy right now for a situation like we find Gray in, who's like, getting really beat up at this point. Let's take a look at the sheet and be specific. As you see,
Yeah.
health, 0. Spirit, 0. Supply, 0. Unprepared, maimed. It's looking pretty bad right now. It's getting hard to get anything done because just everything is so low. It's hard to have any kind of success. I'm going to go back into the big version because it'll be a little while before we need the sheets. There's a couple of things that Delve introduces that can kind of help out with that. And the first one is introducing the concept of downtime. There's an ability in Delve to just be like, you know what, I gotta step out for a little bit. I need a long form chance to recover. Even beyond just like sojourning in a community for a little while, like I need to just be out of the game and take some time to myself. Like this could be, weeks or months. Basically, it gets you reset back to your position. But there's a trade-off to it. One of the other things that Delve introduces is the concept of threats. Now, in order to take downtime, it only works when there is a threat going on. So what threats are, most basically, is kind of an opposition to one of your vows. So you have a vow, and if there's a threat associated with it, they are trying to work against it. They have an agenda that is, if not directly trying to thwart you, at least what they're trying to do is in the way of your vow. Like, they may not be intentionally doing it. It may not even be a they. It could be, a threat could be something like the spread of an illness, for example. I think that's one of the examples in the book. Like, it doesn't have to necessarily be like a person or a conscious entity doing it, but there's something going on in the world that is in the way of what you want to do. And it's kind of a race to see, are you going to succeed before the threat has advanced so much that success isn't even meaningful anymore? Like, you've been prevented from doing what you want to do. So, if you have a threat associated with a vow, and you take downtime, then what happens is that threat advances its agenda a little bit. It's only a little bit, and it's not just like, oh, you're immediately going to be bad. It's just there are many things that might happen that make a threat advance its agenda. And
It's a fair trade-off,
Yeah,
I
exactly.
think.
And then in the end, you're just trying to finish your vow before the threat track fills up, basically. And then similarly, there's kind of a little bit more going on with like when you finish a vow, depending on how strong of a success you get, that kind of colors a little bit about like how successful you were against that threat. A strong hit will be completely successful. That threat is handled. Whereas like if you get a weak hit on it, it may be a little bit more like, yeah, parts of it are there, but the threat is like that threat might kind of continue on. There's a little bit more nuance to it. Things that we probably won't need to know completely tonight, just because threats are really meant for more long form vows. So I know that was just a bunch of information dump. Let me bring the sheet back up to kind of put things into some specific terms again. So one of the requirements for a threat is you want it to be a long enough vow to count. Like, if it's just a troublesome or dangerous vow that you're going to get done in like just a few rolls, really, like you get a few milestones and you're done, there's really no chance for the threat to possibly be threatening. So you have to have it be at least a formidable vow. It's got to be around for a while to be worthy of a real threat that's going to be there and be a real looming presence in the campaign. Now, one of the things I noticed is that what the vow that we've had going on for the entire campaign, the I will uncover the mystery of the glowing obelisks, we had set that as dangerous initially, but one of the things I noticed was the one time we marked progress, I gave it progress as if it were formidable anyway. I only gave it that one box of progress. So we've basically been treating it like a formidable vow accidentally anyway. And so I figured that a good thing that we could have a threat go up against would be a threat against the uncovering the mystery of the glowing obelisks. It's a nice big long form kind of ongoing mystery. And my initial thoughts on this, obviously to be flavored by whatever you think, I think based on what happened last time and what we've kind of talked about a little bit between sessions, I think it would be great if we've kind of opened up a little bit more active opposition from Syrah. And my thinking is that maybe this whole ordeal with like Syrah and the city of Black Falls realizing like there's somebody who's trying to spread a heretical religion as far as they're concerned within their walls. Maybe for like a long time they'd been keeping to themselves and like they keep their religion inside, but maybe that was the spark that ignited a desire to be like, you know what, this is just going to happen again unless we take over all of the Ironlands and spread our religion. And while we won't know exactly how they're going to do that, we kind of figure that out along the way as their agenda advances. I was thinking maybe the reason why this is in opposition to you uncovering the mystery of the glowing obelisks is that maybe as this goes on, the eventual decision they realize is the only way to really prevent anybody from spreading their religion against ours and make sure that everybody accepts our religion of death is to use this menacing glowing obelisk to kill everybody. So, you know, if they make a super weapon out of the glowing obelisk that and manage to activate it, that does seem to stand in the way of uncovering the mystery of the glowing obelisks. You'll have found the mystery in like a really bad way, and there won't really be a game anymore. So, anyway, those are all the thoughts I put together on how to make sense of this. So, the first questions I have, now that I've done my big long monologue of you just listening to me for a while, do those sound like things that make sense in the universe at the very least, to as your understanding of the game?
Yeah, I think that's a really good idea. I can't come up with anything else on the spot, so I think I definitely would like to go with that.
Okay, and knowing that, like, I know obviously you're not as familiar with the mechanic because it's a thing that I've just only really glossed over and brushed up on in these last like half hour before the stream started. So I know you're not 100% familiar with how it works, but does that idea of that being kind of what's on the table for if the threat succeeds, like, does that sound okay in terms of the stakes? Or does that seem like way too high? Now, we might be able to come up with ways for like them to succeed without like completely ending the game right there. Like, I'm sure we can be clever and come up with something. We'll just have to make sure that it's something that would mean that you could no longer fulfill that vow.
Okay. So, damn it, cat. Yeah, like it seems like something that makes sense that would progress the game, but the only other thing, I'm thinking about the other vow of getting Flint back into a body. I don't know if that's a big enough vow or
right. It is
been a long enough. It's been going on for a while.
It is technically it is also a formidable vow. The way we've been doing that is you've been kind of helping me progress a vow I already had in progress, which is formidable. So it would qualify. It's a little bit more advanced in its track already, which is not necessarily a problem. Maybe rules as written it is, but like in theory, these threats would have been there since the beginning of the vow. So it's a little bit better fitting just because the the other vow, the uncovering the mystery of the glowing obelisks, is practically at the very beginning anyway, so we're not messing with that as
Yeah.
much. Um, but that's certainly possible if we wanted to make it a little bit more low stakes. Then like I will destroy everything. It could be more in opposition to just you getting Flint back.
Mhm.
Now, granted, that's it's high stakes for Flint, but,
Yeah.
but you
So,
know, destroying the world is too. So you know, 6 of 1. Yeah, I think they're both. They both could potentially work, especially with our first just like dipping our toes in on how threats even work. I don't expect to get everything right this first time anyway. Um,
mhm.
and granted, we are about to start off this threat by immediately making it get some progress because we're about to do downtime. So that might help offset that a little bit. Um, so I'll leave it up to you. Which I think both could make total sense. Which would you prefer? Like this threat be opposing the obelisks, or indeed like a little bit more personal level? Because like one is more like the city of Black Falls. It's not a personal thing. They're just spreading, and that's a problem for you. It just happens to be. The other seems like it's going to be
Mhm.
a lot more personal. Like they are trying to thwart you. So which do you
Yeah.
prefer?
That's a tough one because, oh, yeah.
Because it's definitely going to color
It's
it
the
quite a
question
bit.
of do we want to make this whole game about that religion and spreading another
Right.
religion? That's then um or yeah, don't wanna I'm just trying to figure out how I would make it work or how we would make it work
Yeah.
with the
And again, we don't
more
have to know
personal
all
one.
the details right away. In fact, we're going to set it up as like kind of broad strokes and discover along the way exactly how we paint in the details. Like we don't know what their plan is exactly. Some amount of that is going to be determined by dice rolling. Like when they advance agenda, when they're trying to advance their plan, we'll kind of find out a little bit about like ooh like what kind of happens. And to give you some examples, maybe this will help. Let me pull up some of the rules on this. Um, One sec. Pulling up the right tab. Okay, so there's a move called Advance a Threat. So, you know, when you give ground to a threat through inaction, failure, or delay, roll on the table below and envision how the change manifests in your world. Um, I'd have to look back through it. I don't think the only way to make this happen is by taking downtime, but that is certainly one of the ways to make this move happen. So we roll on a table and there's a 30% chance of the threat readies its next step or a new danger looms. If you are in a position to prevent this development, you may attempt to do so. If you succeed, reach a milestone, otherwise mark menace. Um, all right, menace is the track that's filling up. So like when there's 10 menace, you're done. Like they won. So there's a 30% chance that they're doing something, but you're aware of it enough to like try and stop it from happening. And you might indeed do so and keep it from happening. There's an additional 40% chance that it works subtly in the background. The threat works subtly to advance towards its goal, or the danger escalates. Mark menace. So something that just happens. It was too subtle or behind the scenes for you to really have an ability to stop it from happening. It was too
Okay.
indirect. And then a final 30% of the threat makes a dramatic and immediate move, or a major event reveals new complications. Mark menace twice. Oh no. And then, as always, like if it's a match, this development also exposes a surprising aspect of the threat's plan or nature. So as you see, like it's all like so much in this game. Like it's very lacking of detail, and gives us a chance to kind of figure out in that moment, like what would that mean. So
Hmm.
all that to say, we definitely don't have to have the answers to everything right now.
Okay. Mm.
But yeah, so I honestly think that either one will work just fine. It'll just
Okay.
definitely inform a little bit about like what does that mean they're really after, and we'll have to take a moment to figure that out depending on which one.
I just don't know if I want to make this all about um religion.
Okay.
But, um
Then if
but
that's
I like that idea. But if a lot of it's gonna just be background
hey, I mean, there
menace, it's
if you like the
gonna be
idea,
so bad.
there's always the chance that it turns out like you may defeat them now, but the threat is still there and gets associated with a new vow, and maybe their agenda escalates to like maybe that idea comes up later. If depending on how this goes, they're still around, but are now have reason to broaden their aspirations.
Okay.
So it doesn't have to necessarily be one thing and then the other never sees the light of day if you like it.
Yeah.
But we could indeed start smaller and have room to grow, which does help save us that problem of like, if this messes up, this game could be over really fast. Yeah, I say that on session 16, but but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. Let's give it a try because I really do just want to get those stats back up.
Okay, so then yeah, we're gonna have them stand in opposition to the technically my vow, but works well enough for the way we're using it. I will find a new body and rejoin the physical world. Has definitely become something.
Please do.
It's definitely become something of a group vow. So we're gonna have a threat in opposition to that. So especially since we're about to advance their agenda, as soon as you take downtime, we need to figure out at least a little bit of the details of like, why are they doing this, and like what's their broad approach, and what do they want out of this? Is it about tracking you down and like getting the necklace from you? Because that's at least the first thing that springs to my mind is like the most obvious way that they can stop you.
Are we going with that vow? Or
Yeah,
I thought we were going with the other one. Sorry.
Oh, I thought that's what you meant. Is you wanted the
No, I meant like we can go with the religious aspect and as long as it's
okay.
Yeah.
All right, we can do that one. Well, that one I've already got.
Yeah, because I feel like then it'll just prolong. If we do the other one, it'll just prolong Flint never getting a body. Like I feel like it will. It is just.
Well, there's two sides to that. On the one hand, it could. On the other hand, it does give it more of a critical focus of if we don't focus on this, it's gonna the world's gonna take it away. So it gives that kind of like lighting the fire under your butt to finish it out. But we've recently been kind of doing that anyway. So anyway, you said what you wanted. We'll do the other one. So the uncovering the mystery of the glowing obelisk has a threat behind it.
Okay.
And it's definitely a higher stakes threat. And since you agreed, we'll go with the idea of it. Like their agenda is to try and spread their religion beyond, so that they never have to have people trying to convert their own people ever again. Like it's kind of from their point of view. Once we make the whole world look like us, there will be no outsiders to change us. And yeah, that'll just. We certainly know the reason why that is in opposition to you uncovering the mystery, because someday it's going to lead to that point. We just don't know all the steps it'll take for them to get there.
And we can make it where it's like a new order from that town to it's like a race to the obelisk.
Yeah, no, I think that'll definitely be part of it.
They kind of just get this idea, whoa, those people are trying to figure out what's going on with the obelisk, but we want to figure it out too because we want to use it. And yeah, I like that idea.
I think when they met you,
now that I think about it,
I think when they met you in the forest, since a lot of those people are, they're going to go back and report on what happened. I think they've been able to make sense of this. They were clearly able to put together like, you went in this direction. What's in that direction? I think it got their cogs turning and figuring out like the obelisk, like it made them think about that and has got their sights there. One of the things I like about this agenda is that I think it's easy to make sense of a lot of their machinations being subtle and hard to stand against, because who knows what all they do. Like some of it is going to be studying things and knowing how to how to approach the obelisk safely, that sort of stuff. And some of it might be things you can more directly oppose, like people indeed on the road to the obelisk doing something, and maybe trying to thwart you getting through. Like there's a broad room, I think, to make sense of like when their agenda moves forward, and I like that. So anyway, since we have some agreement on what we're gonna do with this, let us first give you some downtime, finally. So we're doing the take a hiatus move. So when you spend an extended time recovering in a safe place while a threat is active, do any of the following. Now, for the purposes of this, even though you are in the like, I know when we left off, you were kind of running from in the forest. I think that it is reasonable enough that where you were, like, you're in kind of like a nicer spot that you were like, you were able to camp there and everything. I know it's not like a town somewhere that you would ordinarily spend a lot of time, but maybe you were able to find some more permanent shelter to just like really take some time and recover. Do you think that is something that you would have like erected a shelter, or more likely like you found a cave or something and have just made a home there? Like, what is it? How would Gray take a longer form hiatus out in the wild?
I think she would have made her own shelter for
Okay.
sure.
You think like a full on like you made like a log cabin type of thing, or something simpler than that? Because this
Whoa.
is because I
Well, it
think
depends
well
on.
because like it's extended time. Like I think it took a while for the
Yeah.
threat to really start doing like to really build up.
Okay.
So and not like a mansion or anything that you could make,
Yeah.
but enough time that I think you're a capable person who's can be out in the wild. Like I think you could indeed like chop wood and build something if that's how you were envisioning it.
Okay. Yeah. Small log cabin sounds about right.
Okay.
More like a shack.
Yeah, just like some small shack, but something that really needed to be constructed, not just like a lean-to out of like, I've got these branches on a like something a little bit more clearly permanent that you could stay in for like a month, 2 months if necessary, and not have to be constantly patching it up. Um,
Yeah, that sounds good.
yeah. So it's out in the middle of nowhere. It's far enough away that people aren't going to be constantly bothering you. Like you're probably pretty isolated during these couple of times, though. Of course, he had Flint at least, so there's that going on. So anyway, we have the parameters for take a hiatus. So, it's do any of the following. Okay. But it's not do any one of the following. So yeah, you can, as far as I'm reading this, you can do all of these things that are relevant. I'm just going to quickly skim to make sure it doesn't more specifically say, like, you get to choose one, but usually it says choose one, so... Yeah, I don't see that, so I'm going to go with my reading. So you get to clear any marked conditions. Now, as I look at your sheet now, I do indeed see that maimed will stick with you. That is a bane, not a condition. So no amount of taking a hiatus will take that away. But you're no longer unprepared. You'll have had an opportunity to bump all of your little tracks back up to 5. So health will be at 5, spirit will be at 5, supply will be at 5, which is why you're not unprepared anymore. So let me make that adjustment there. Boop. And you're at 5. And you're at 5. We are going to put your max momentum back up to 9 and your reset back up to +1. And you may reset your momentum to the reset value. Right now, you're actually higher than that anyway, so it would not benefit you to do that.
Okay.
But in theory, if you had gotten it like way down to the negatives, you could be like, all right, hold on. Back to reset.
All right, sweet.
Yeah. Where is... You are not unprepared. And... Max is at 9. Reset is +1. Okay. Your character sheet is now adjusted for... You've had some time to just take a full-on hiatus. So there's the good part. Now we need to figure out what happened when the threat that is opposing this journey into getting to the bottom of the glowing obelisks. How was that opposed? What did they do in this time? So for the very first time, we are going to do the advance a threat move. So let me pull up this here. And we're going to roll a D100 to roll on that chart I was reading from before. So let's see. A 41. Okay, so this is one of the ones, it's in that middle category. The threat works subtly to advance towards its goal, or the danger escalates. Mark Menace. So the way we mark Menace on here, I'm going to make just a little bit of a, I guess I'm not really prepared to do this. I'm going to change the color of, I guess I can't do that. There's going to be one box of Menace on the Mystery of the Glowing Obelisk, and the official way to do it is you put a little box in the corner of that vow that's like filled in. I don't have this sheet set up to be able to quickly do that. So let me think of a way real quick that I could represent that. So you need a good way that, in theory, like, they could outpace you. You know what? I will work on that for next time. I haven't had time to do it. We will keep track of it on our end for now. It's just, it won't be represented on screen. We will just make notes and know, like, this is how much the Menace track is filled in. And I'll hopefully have that ready for next time. All right, let me just open up a notepad on that. All right, Menace track is at 1. So it's at pace with you. I believe there's in the rules they kind of mention that you can use that as a little bit of an idea of like what the world looks like. You know, are they outpacing you right now? Are they keeping in pace? Are you making it way ahead? Like, so right now, you're about as close to getting to the Mystery of the Glowing Obelisks as in a way they are. So I think what's probably happening, since this is, you know, behind the scenes and nothing that you could possibly stop, I think this advancement probably takes place back in Black Falls. This is probably representative of their studying and preparations of like, you know, reading whatever religious texts they have that make reference to the obelisks, like cross-referencing things and putting together their own ideas about what their power is. I think they've probably reached the level of, or no, it's probably earlier than that, because right now they're still on the level of just like deciding that they want to stop this spread of religion. I don't think they're at the level of like, we'll use the obelisks just yet. So what if it's instead like they're back in Black Falls, there's some like official decree or something that like some like registration of people or like maybe there's like a test or something that all the citizens are going through, and like those who don't pull off a convincing act of like being true believers of their religion are like kicked out of the city. Like it's something like that where they're like, from their mind, like purifying their city of all of these miscreants, and like something like that happened back in Black Falls.
Okay.
Yeah. They're just kind of taking their steps towards their religion being the only one.
They're gonna kick out all their sacrifices.
Oh, they'll have...
I don't know if that would... Oh.
Hey, keep in mind that there are places like the true believers think death is this wonderful thing, so they may not be out of sacrifices.
Okay.
You just gotta... Yeah, it's a weird one. It's kind of like the Shaker religion, where like they don't believe in procreation of any kind, if I remember the Shaker religion correctly, which means you gotta constantly be getting new believers otherwise. Like same with this one. If you're constantly killing your true believers, then
yeah,
you're
in trouble.
Yeah, that's gonna be a problem. But yeah, something behind the scenes like that happens. Maybe
I think they're definitely discussing that the fact that this troop went out to spread their own religion, and they're thinking we got to stop that and start spreading our religion. Maybe they haven't really started spreading the religion, and they're taking that idea.
That's true. I think at the very least there's people in that town that are talking about that and like figuring out what would have to happen to like how they can support that. Like how can they get a wider network and support it and make sure that it takes. Like those are probably discussions that are happening at this moment, and like maybe when they're ready and start sending those people out in the world, like that might be a type of thing that happens when we mark Menace again. Like now they're
Okay,
sending
yeah,
out
yeah.
missionaries. Like, well, there'll be kind of those incremental steps along the way. Um, but yeah, so that's where we are now. As we come back to Gray, who's had this time to recover. Um, Now the implication with downtime is like certainly in regards to anything that you have a vow, like you haven't really gotten up to anything that's going to be relevant for a vow. Like you've been tending to yourself for these couple of months, but outside of that, on a more just like character level, is there anything else that you think you've been doing during this time? You know,
I
unrelated to your
definitely think
vows.
I've definitely been reading that book, and I think at this point, Grace probably read all of it.
Yeah.
The spell book. So I'm curious what she learned from it, and if she's gotten any closer to helping Flint.
Well, definitely not during that time, because again, like the whole idea is I did in terms of like things related to your vows, like you haven't really had an opportunity to advance any of that. But
Okay.
um
Oh, so it does. Okay. It just doesn't seem to go along with what would actually happen, but okay.
yeah, at the very least, like nothing mechanical I think could have happened during that time, but we can start doing that stuff now.
Okay.
Like it's extended relaxation and needing to just get away from it all just because it became too much, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Okay.
I do think that you clearly could have been reading the book during that time. Um,
Maybe I just don't understand it. Like I've read it but don't understand it.
yeah, it's just like a lot of there's just so much to unravel in there.
That makes
So
sense.
yeah, with all of that now finished, let us get started on getting Gray back in the game and
Okay.
the first steps of what we're doing. So is is that your next big focus? Like, do you want to focus on just like you know figuring out this book or continuing this journey first? Like, what is what's the
Yeah.
next big course to look into?
Yeah, I definitely want to figure out this book and see if I've honed in on what exactly we're supposed to do to get Flint back into a body, because I think that does become more my focus
Yeah. Um,
since being away from everything.
okay. Why don't we do that as a kind of gather information role or whatever it's called. Sorry, I need to open up the right PDF. Where is my moves reference? There we are. Yes, a gather information role that we can do from the book to basically like. I think we can, if we get the right answer on this, we can once and for all just sort of be like, you know, you're asking the question like, how do I get what is the ritual that I need to do to get Flint back in his body? And depending on how this role goes, that could either be we could wind up with just like you have the answer right now. Since this is magic, like I don't think you or I will ever be able to very specifically say what that answer is. Like I don't know, but we can say at least that your character knows it, whatever it is. So let's find out.
Okay.
All right, so gonna make a gather information here. Definitely using your wits as you piece together all these pieces, and maybe this is just the moment of like we come back in after a month and a half out or something. You've been spending the whole time reading it and like making notes, and we come in on the final like what you've put together after all of that time. to see like maybe it did all help. You've had a chance to just really sit down and read it for a while. And it does help make sense of why you were out for so very long in this place with like no distractions.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I will never make sense of this scroll if there's all of this shit going on out here. All right, let's see. Let's start off on a new track, not so just thrown onto the ground over and over again from last session.
Yes.
Strong hit. There we go. Starting off right.
Oh my God, it's a miracle.
I know, it can happen. We can see that green that green bottom and the words strong hit. Ooh. You barely did it too. One of those challenges I tried to thwart you, but thankfully you rolled a very top result on your action score and just managed to pull it off. So that's good news. The path you must follow or action you must take to mark progress is made clear. Envision what you learn, ask the Oracle of Unsure, and take +2 momentum. So you're going to get that 2 momentum right now, but more importantly, I think we can say concretely, you've put it together. I think it would be interesting if we can figure out if we can roll some oracles and try and figure out some specifics on like what is it you have to do, like what was the missing piece.
Yeah.
It would be cool to have something to latch onto, is like you learned this, keeping in mind that a lot of what you learned was like, I say this magic word while using these ingredients in this way, and I draw this shape in the sand, or what, like stuff that doesn't make any sense to in our world, but it would be nice to have something concrete on top of that to be like, and the missing key was blank. So let me move your momentum up before we forget. Doop, doop. Let us also mark progress on I will uncover the mystery of the glowing or not that one, the getting Flint back to his body one, because that is definitely relevant there. You finally have put together the full ritual and know how to do it academically, at least. Like obviously there's a difference between knowing how to do something and like understanding how it works and being practiced at doing it. As you know, we could certainly think of it in terms of like performing a surgery. Like I looked into it when I was having my wisdom teeth removed. I was very interested in like the mechanics and the details of what they do there and how that looks. But that is far to say that I am ready to perform it myself. So yeah, let's roll some oracles and find out like what could a missing piece be that you can have a good aha on. So I think like there's all those little details that you have, like just the right magic stuff, but maybe there's one.
And I would also like to figure out if it involves moth, if it does indeed involve moth musk. Like if that
we can definitely ask the oracle that too. I've got that one up right now. So what do you think? Like 50-50 on whether or not it involves, or at least moth musk can be involved. We know that we got that answer that prepared properly, it can indeed have healing properties. And we even got that answer last time about how it the moths that eat it have some manner of ability to cross over beyond the borders of reality, and so it's been known to it's been rumored at least to have some like healing properties for the soul, and so we've got good reason to think that might actually be a likely then, given what we already know about moth musk. That's not just a 50-50, now that I remember that. So is moth musk involved in the ritual? Yes, it is. Or at the very least, it can be used that way. Whether or not it has to be, I don't know if that's important, but it is a tool that can be used for it.
Nice.
Let's see, anything else that we can find out? I'm gonna roll a theme here to try and get a inspiration of like what might have been missing otherwise. Debt. Oh, that's interesting. So that brings to mind some kind of like sacrifice, like not of a person, but but like, though potentially.
Well, I feel like the debt would just be the body, like, because he's got to be put into another body.
Yeah, there's
So
definitely
somebody
that.
is giving up their life.
Yeah, there definitely is a sacrifice component to it from there, from that standpoint.
Mm.
Do you think that this is? Do you think this person has to be willing or not? Like, can it be? Can it
Mm.
be anybody's? But like, we know that there has to be an emotional connection. We already know that much. Do they have to be willing?
That's a good question.
Because that debt made me think of it. Because there's kind of a like, oh wow, like I am in your debt. Like you made this sacrifice for me. Um,
I don't know if I want to. Yeah,
I
I
don't
don't
know that I
know.
want that to be the case because that's really
We
constraining.
can ask if
We could. I would put that as like unlikely, just because that's a tall order.
yeah.
So let's see.
It's,
Do they have
yeah.
to be willing? But it is the type of thing that if it's true, like definitely adds an interesting twist to like one of the hurdles in the way.
Yeah.
Okay, so does the person who supplies the body have to be willing? No. Oracle says no. Even if we had put that at 50-50, it still would have been no. So, pretty decidedly no.
Okay.
So let's see. What else? How about what else can debt inspire here? Maybe
Maybe Flint's giving up something in order
yeah,
to.
I feel
Yeah.
like there's definitely some kind of soul debt involved. Like you can't
Oh,
just
maybe he's gonna be like half dead if he gets back into.
or the type of thing where like taking inspiration from the face death move. I know there's the one where like death is willing to relinquish its clutches on you and bring you back to life, but you owe it like a vow basically. Um
Oh, I like that.
yeah. I think we could draw inspiration from that move from the rulebook and be like Flint won't be able to just come back just because you want it to. Like you'll be able to make that happen if this all goes
Mhm.
correctly, but his soul will owe a debt, and not fulfilling it in enough time, he'll basically go right back. Like if he fulfills it, then his soul will be allowed to stay in this new body, but I think there'll be kind of like a threat on that vow of like basically the ticking clock. And
Mhm.
if it's not done in time, then Flynn will just die a permanent death. One that I think like there's like if you don't fulfill that vow, I think there's no coming back from it. Like you had your chance and you threw it away.
Mhm.
So there's no amount of clapping will bring you back from where that'll send you. Um, yeah. So I don't know. I think these are good enough answers for like things that you've put together in this time, and maybe you've had a chance to talk to Flint about, and realizing that like maybe like there's no way to know what the request will be before you do it. Like
Mhm.
basically you put out the call with this kind of blanket understanding of I will accept like I get what do you have like I'll do this vow. I don't know what it is, but I'm desperate enough that I will do it. Or at the very least, Flint's soul is doing that during the process. I don't know that you're
Mhm.
really bound up in it. You're just kind of enabling it. I think you as the mage involved in this are like you're like a conduit that's you allow this to happen, but you're not. I don't think your soul is bound up in it in any way. Or actually, is that
Or
is
oh,
that something we should roll for as well to determine like does this have any stakes on you? Like
I
the
don't think it. Yeah, I don't think it would though.
I don't think
I think it
so.
really is on Flint.
Yeah, I think you're just enabling it.
Though I do more like the idea that he loses something, not necessarily makes deal with death
I
or
think it can
anything,
be
but
both.
like I feel like he comes back, but is missing something, like maybe certain senses, or
Granted, he's already
he
missing
comes
certain
back blind
senses.
again,
It's like no, that was
just in a different
really
body. He's like,
blind.
God damn it!
I do like the idea of there being a debt in that sense as well. Like there was a cost, Um, I don't know that I want it to be senses just because we've already we're already kind of playing in that area with him. Um,
Mhm.
but
What if he comes back? He comes back, but whenever he goes to sleep or something, he forced into another world, and I don't
oh
know,
god,
like.
that that'll be all sorts of chaos in this game. Um, but it could be as it could literally be as simple as like we could give him the burden of like tormented, where basically like his max momentum will like mechanically his max momentum will always be down, his reset value will be down. It'll be like being maimed, but represented more by just like whenever you sleep, it's just nightmares all night. You never really get a full rest. Um,
Aw.
Maybe if you fulfill that vow that you owe, it eventually goes away. Um, well, I guess it is a burden, so technically that won't ever go away. It's not a condition, but um, yeah, there could be something like that where there's just like you've been to the other side and nothing seems completely real anymore. Um, it could just have its own kind of psychological toll, right? Like that.
I have a
Yeah,
question.
what's up?
For the Oracle, is what does it have to be a human? Can he
Oh,
be
human.
his can his spirit be put back into an animal?
Uh, we can definitely ask that question, but keeping in mind that there would have to be some kind of emotional connection between the two souls to begin with. But like, supposing there were such a thing, like some really like bonded animal or something, or one that fucking hated Flint. If there were that emotional connection, then maybe let's find out. I think that's just like a 50-50. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. So let's see. Can it be an animal who otherwise qualifies? No. Apparently, animals
Uh,
won't work. Maybe that's a statement on just. Maybe this is a world where animals don't have souls. Maybe it's one where they're just like the souls are just too different. Like they don't go to the
yeah,
same place. One way or another, the what you've read in the book has led you to the belief that the metaphysics behind these souls just won't be compatible. Um,
makes
there
sense.
wouldn't be. It just wouldn't work. Um, yeah, I don't know if I'm fully settled on the like, tormented by nightmares every night thing. It was an idea I had, but I don't know that I'm fully on board with it. But I do still want to find something that's a good, just like you're not the same when you come back. That's has that nice middle ground of like it's enough that it feels like something significant, but it's not too much that you're just going to be like completely changed as a person. There's just like a piece missing. Is what I'm trying to find. Um, Maybe there's a kind of like
Maybe he never gets his voice back.
oh, okay.
Maybe he does have to. Maybe he can talk telepathically, but he just never gets his voice back. Just like as kind of like residual of
Yeah,
being in the spirit world for so long.
I I do like that idea. If it can come back when the vow is done, we can do a full on
Yeah.
like Little Mermaid with this,
Yeah.
where like you'll get your voice back if you get that true love's kiss within 3 days. Like, we can go really fairy tale with this. So yeah, let's go with that then. There is this
Okay.
debt where yeah you cannot speak until the vow is done, and there's also just this ticking clock
Mhm.
where yeah there's a that's just like the piece of you that's being held on by whatever this otherworldly entity is that makes these deals on the other side. They hold on to a piece almost as like collateral. Maybe it's like their way of like it doesn't work unless they keep something from you to like bind you to the agreement because they need a way to be able to pull a piece of you to be able to pull you back from if you don't do the
Yeah.
vow. So like
Real
but
Little Mermaid
yeah, so
style.
like by holding on to your voice, they have that connection to you to be like, nope, you're fucking around. You're coming back.
Mhm.
Okay. I like what we've come up with. I think we got some cool stuff
Yeah.
here. So you learn all of that. It works well. And if we end right now, we'll have a stream. It was all strong hits. We're all good. It was much better. Sadly, there's another like hour to go, where all sorts of opportunity to make worse results.
Yeah.
But you find that out, and I imagine this is stuff that you've gone over with Flint, or have you kept it to yourself? Have you like talked about what's coming?
I imagine I'm discussing with Flint because he's right there with me around my neck.
Yeah,
So,
and you've had very little other
and
interaction in a couple of months.
yeah. I also want to know, is there any like I don't know. I just want to know more about the ritual and
Okay.
is
Hey,
there
I'm
any
happy to keep
potion?
finding out
Is there
details of this as
any
long as you are. As far as I'm
is
concerned, I
there
could spend an entire session just spend it knowing the details of this ritual and having only a strong hit. It's the happiest session.
yeah. I want to know, do I have to put together a potion? Do I have to do any kind of chanting?
Okay.
Do I have to
So let's see. I think a lot of these are 50-50 kind of questions where there's no real reason to think one way or another. So yeah.
obviously Moth Musk is involved.
Yeah, we know Moth Musk is involved. So yeah,
How is it
is it about
involved?
making a potion? Let's see. No, it's not a potion. Okay. Is it some kind of like like burning sort of
Maybe it's
thing
like
where it makes like fumes that have to be inhaled? Like is it like a vapor sort of thing? Prepped
or
in a certain
topical
way.
cream.
Yeah.
Wait, you can't put anything on Flint. Never mind.
Well, but there is this other body involved.
True.
So let's see. Is it about inhaling a kind of vapor? No. It's not an inhalation thing. So yeah, we can see if it's some kind of like ointment or something that you have to make that some like topical application.
Maybe it just goes
Yes.
way over the
Apparently
soul.
that's the one. There's some kind of it's not a potion exactly, but some manner of like cream or
Balm.
balm. Yeah, balm is a better word than cream for this.
Moth Musk balm.
Yeah, moth musk balm sounds.
Soul balm.
Yeah,
You got to put it right over the source of the
soul balm
soul.
applied directly to the soul.
yeah.
So yeah,
Soul balm.
I think it's about that. I think there's probably a very distinct way that I think it's probably like a colored thing that like as you probably don't like rub it onto the body so much as like draw it on in particular patterns. And in
Yeah.
particular places that are like, like this is the entry point for. Like, there's probably like this long ritual where it's like, the palm of the hand represents this aspect of humanity, and like all these different spaces where you are making like runes
Over the
and
heart.
connections. Yeah, like the heart, all these different like chakras.
Mind, heart.
Yeah, head, shoulders, knees, and toes, and yeah, I think there's a lot of that as you take this like kind of pigmented balm and open up those areas to allow
right.
passage. And then saying certain words, and yeah, it helps when we've only made one roll, Wickinator. And it was a good one. Also, we if you see the beginning of the session back in the VOD, there's kind of a reason why everything looks good again. That I'm not going to go over it all again now. It took a while. But yeah, anything else you want to know about, or is it starting to take a little bit more shape in your mind?
No, it's definitely taken some shape, and I imagine it takes a while to put together this whole thing. So
Yeah.
I guess I want to know what other ingredients I need. I imagine
Okay.
if we could I guess let's try not to
I
make it
want to know.
too crazy of a
Yeah.
concoction.
Yeah, not
But,
too
like,
not too crazy of a
maybe it's
concoction,
like
and also like I don't want to get too completely specific because then it can be hard to make sense of certain roles where it's like, but I have the thing. Like
yeah.
they have that little bit of wiggle room. But one thing I do want to know that's important is like we know you have some moth musk. Do you have enough? Or like
Oh, good question.
which again, I think it's just a 50-50. Like I have no idea. It seems perfectly reasonable either way that you could either have or not have enough. So, do you currently have enough moth musk? Assuming that everything went right, like, obviously there's the chance that maybe it got wasted or something by doing the ritual wrong, but assuming you did it right, is this enough moth musk to pull off this ritual? No.
Damn it!
Gonna need some more. Well, that definitely the benefit of that no though is that right away means like we can see some of the things standing in the way of pulling this off already. Like we need this other milestone of obviously you need to get some more.
Well, let's go get some more.
Yeah. So maybe that's the realization that you come to just now of like you're kind of like you're going over the stuff and doing the math of like what you're gonna need and kind of putting together an inventory and like all right so I do this and I do this and then I apply that and you're like looking at your supplies and stuff and you're like even if I were completely diligent with the way this were prepared, like there's no way this would yield enough. Like so this is probably that moment where it finally hits you that this is nice, but it's only a start. Maybe it would be enough to do an animal soul, but
yeah, I want to know if I can prepare this balm.
Yeah, or if it has to all be done at once.
So I could just have it like with me. Maybe I have a spare bottle.
Oh, so like is it lasting? Yeah.
Yeah.
Or is it a very temporary thing? I'm between 50-50 and unlikely on this. Just because it's so magical, that always implies a more volatility to me of things that just don't... that seems harder to make it last. So I don't know. Do you have a leaning on that between those two? And same with you, chat. Do you... This magical balm that is used in the way to potentially bring a soul back from the other side, restore it to someone else's body through this long ritual... it involves special ingredients and everything, but you have to kind of prepare them into this balm first that is used in the ritual. If we're rating this on a scale of almost certain, likely, 50-50, unlikely, or small chance, you think it's 50-50 for like that it could you can just like prepare it in advance and just you have it on you, it'll last?
As long as it's airtight.
Yeah.
As long as it's well preserved.
Hey, get that pectin in there and some apricots. I'm willing to go with 50-50. As I said, I was kind of torn between the two. So let's see. How long would it take to prepare? Question mark time at the moment. We don't know exactly how long, but...
I'm determined to figure this all out.
Definitely some amount of time. Not just like, oh, give me 5 minutes. Yeah, let's see. So will it last? Or do you have to basically make it right before you use it? It will not last. I did the 50-50, as it says right there.
Damn it.
She hasn't already made it.
It's going to be hard enough finding a body.
No, she hasn't already made it. We're figuring out what she's learned by doing some research on it. It's just knowing in advance, like, whether she could... do some of this preparation in advance, or if you're gonna have to basically have all the other stuff ready, and it's looking like, yeah, this will have to be one of the last things you do. Like,
does it need other ingredients, or is it mostly ritual? That's what I want to know, too.
Let's see. I think that's another 50-50. So it doesn't need other ingredients. Yes. So there's... Moth musk is not the only important... and I took that to mean like other important stuff. Like I imagine like, yeah, there's probably some minor stuff that we could just hand wave like, oh yeah, you have that, or you can find it easily enough. But that seems to suggest
definitely
yeah, there's something else that would have to be combined the right way that's relevant and not just like easy to acquire, or at least it's not like just anywhere. I
want to find these ingredients, and I want to at least have them on me.
Yeah, I think that much you could easily do.
That I want to prepare, at least have them.
Okay. So
preparing is just going to be a whole nother thing. A whole other thing. Not other.
So let's see. Maybe it's... I'm going to roll theme again to get an idea of like another... what other type of important ingredient there might be. Let's see. So I don't think it's necessarily all like herbs and stuff. Greed. Well, that's interesting as a pair with debt that we had earlier.
Greed is not an ingredient.
It's not, well, it's an
Oh, yes, it
ingredient.
is. Ingredient.
Yep,
Ah, ah.
exactly.
Where's your bell?
It's behind me. Yeah, it's an ingredient.
You have to ding it for me because I can't
Alright,
ding.
there you go.
Thank you.
No, but I didn't expect it to be anything that would apply directly. I mean, I was just rolling a general theme, but that gets me greed gets me thinking of gold or
Mhm.
iron or something precious that
Okay. I like that.
that is like
I
just a
like where,
yeah.
yeah.
I was just using that as just kind of a way to get the juices pointed in a certain direction. That's right. You can point juices. Um, that's not mixing
Point those
metaphors.
juices.
Yeah, point those juices. So
Okay.
yeah, maybe it's some amount of like,
So,
or maybe like precious gemstones sort of thing. Those are classics uh, in magical rituals of high fantasy, like some kind of like pristinely cut, large enough gemstone of a kind.
I like the idea of it being gold.
Gold, okay.
Gold is one of those elements where it's just like, I mean, there's gold in your heart, believe it or not, traces of gold
And so it helps
in
conduct the soul.
found. Yeah.
So yeah, so maybe that's also part of why like the coloring that this balm has. It's like this. It's like gold flecked and sparkly. Or
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I imagine it looking really, really cool.
yeah. We'll give some sparkles to this magic. Okay, so some amount of gold is part of it,
Gold,
which
moth musk.
I again, given that most of this world trades like in even trade and like bartering, gold would not be as readily available. It's just like, oh, go to the latest town, just withdraw some money from the bank. Like, I don't think
Yeah.
gold has a lot of value in the traditional sense to people. I think it's still used like in jewelry and things like that, but it's not just like used commercially because there isn't really commerce in that sense. Um,
Right.
but yeah, gold is important, and let's see, anything else. I think even if this is a yes, that should be the last of the like it needs these things. Like we shouldn't just like keep rolling until we get a no because I don't want it to wind up by random chance being like 50 things.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, we definitely need something to bind these
oh
ingredients.
yeah,
So some kind of.
again I think there are other things that aren't necessarily used by that we don't have to know by name just because they're easy enough to acquire that we can just assume you get them. But there's a few major things that are a little bit more rare or relevant to see you kind of get on screen. But let's see, is there another one of those, or are those really the two major things? So, is there something else? Yes. Okay. So there is a third thing, and as I mentioned, I think I'm going to cut off rolling at that. Like there won't be more than the three things, but there are indeed three whole important things. So let's roll a theme one more time and see what that inspires. Burden. Let's see. What comes to mind when you hear the word burden? I immediately think of like beasts of burden, like oxen. I'm trying to see what
That's
that
what I was thinking.
inspires.
Actually, I was thinking of an ox,
Yeah,
but so maybe like the blood of an ox.
could be. Yeah, just really just get all like
The
old school.
strength of life.
Yeah, I mean that could be it. Like it's just about the beast of burden's constitution and like great ability to just withstand is needed to have the strength to make this passage. Like it's
Mhm.
all symbolic like that. So there we go. Uh, these are the three major things that are needed, along with some other minor stuff just to kind of like make the chemistry work. But we can assume anything else is something that you could just acquire along the way without having to specifically see you do it. Like
Yeah.
it's crap that you can get. Um, but the three things that we know that you'll need are more moth musk, the blood of a. Do you think it's specifically an ox or just like some great beast of burden? I imagine it's more broad
I've,
like that.
yeah, just some really strong animal.
Yeah, the blood of some great strong animal. It's probably listed as a beast of burden, but not like magically required to be. It's just got to be a great beast. In theory, you could just go out monster hunting and like find just a great beast or something, and you need its blood. I
Okay.
don't think you need a lot of it, but you do need some. And And then yeah, gold that you'll probably have to melt, I imagine, to make it work. So those are these are the major components to our ritual. I do like it. I like knowing that we've got some of these specifics now in like a really concrete direction of what we want to do, and not just
Yeah.
like, I don't know, next you something and then wave your hands. It's been a great example of how like the game works without having any idea where it's going or planning in advance. Just roll some stuff, get inspiration, make it make sense.
Would we have to melt the gold and then like immediately use it? Because I mean, gold cools quickly.
It does. I
So maybe it leaves these burn marks on the
Oh, that could be interesting. Like
offering.
Flint's
You
new
have these
body
scars.
like has some like gold some scars from where the gold was because it's got to be used when it's hot because
Yeah.
that plays into all these ideas of greed and burden and debt, like it taking a toll.
Mm-hmm.
Like his new body will have these markings of uh
It's easy to smelt.
yeah, it is easy to melt. It's already soft to begin with, but for the intricacies of what you're trying to do, yeah, I think it's these like symbols that you draw with it. I don't think it has to burn you. I think you can apply it with something else,
Mm-hmm.
but where it gets applied gets these burn marks. That's cool. I like it. Somebody who's in the know and knows what it means could always know like that wasn't your original body. I know that. I know that, Mark.
I know those symbols.
Yeah.
I know what you did.
Because some of them are more visible than others. Like if there's indeed one on like the forehead or something, like
That's what I imagine.
unless you like
There's
grow
one
some
right in
long
the middle.
bangs or something, people are gonna know. Or like always wear a cloak down low, which who knows? Maybe that'll be the type of thing.
Maybe you have to
Yeah,
like make a
exactly.
certain shaped brand and just like get all the ingredients on that brand.
Yeah,
And
which all ties in with this idea. Like obviously you brand beasts of burden. Like
oh
it
yeah.
all connects
He's
accidentally,
gonna
but it
come
does.
back to life in this body and just be like in excruciating pain. But at least he'll have a body.
Yeah, the pain might almost be a nice thing. It's like, oh my god, physical
Yeah.
sensation.
I feel
I am in
something.
the real world again. I have a physical body.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful to be in pain. He suddenly gets very very emo and somebody that we need to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, Flint, give me all your weapons.
Yeah, exactly.
Hold on to those.
Good thing he's a brawler. He usually is barehanded.
Yeah.
So there we go. You have a direction on what to acquire. So my suggestion is to maybe try and get to the next town. Like some of these things seem to involve some amount of civilization around you. Granted, the moth must doesn't. So maybe do we want to start like trying to find more in this, like kind of going back towards the forest that we know had some.
Yeah, and I think it would be nice to go to a town. I want to figure out what the shape of the brand is because I think we need to get to a blacksmith eventually too
Okay.
to make that brand. Like I like that kind of last bit.
Okay, sure. Let's do another. Do you want to do like another theme or something to get some inspiration on like what type of thing could this symbol represent?
Yeah,
Okay, let's see here. We're
and
gonna.
this will be the last thing, I promise.
That's fine.
And then we can go find.
Hey,
something.
I'm all down to just. Like, I would happily just spend an entire 2 hour session just like let's just iron out some details. Really gives us something to sink our teeth into. Ability. So it represents some kind of ability.
Hmm.
The
Maybe
first one that came to
it
my
isn't.
mind was like the ability of like perseverance or um
I just thought of an eye, like the shape of an eye, but I don't know if
yeah, I
I
mean
like the
that's
idea of
certainly a
that. It's kinda
classic of
creepy.
just like the third eye right there on the forehead. Um
Ability.
and the other thing that I thought of doesn't really make sense with ability, which is just like it would clearly be some kind of symbol of this person who offers the bargain, but like maybe they
Ability
have
to
an
me
ability.
just means life. You have abilities, therefore you're alive. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, it could just be some great symbol of
Symbol of
the
life.
symbol of life and death as all like one symbol. Like it makes me think of not literally like yin and yang, but something in this world that has a similar sort of quality. Where ooh, Wick pointed
Yeah.
put a link in chat of a symbol. Let's see. My internet has been so slow today.
You could just look up symbols of life.
Here's the here's the Stargate. I do like the way that symbol looks, and it's gold and everything. Open that up. That's pretty cool. You're actually here for the benefit of those watching the VOD. Let me. Oh, I don't actually have a quick way to. I don't have a quick way to show it, but the gold symbol from Stargate Jaffa image is what I'm looking at. It's really cool looking, and yeah, nicely cool. Intricate and golden. I like that mark. We're gonna go with that. Nice suggestion, Wick. So yeah, it looks like that. It probably represents life and death. Like maybe there's that kind of U shape there that swirls in two different directions. And I like the idea that like one of those directions is the direction of life, one of them is death, and they're all in this one line that are all within the same circle of like being. Like they're all the same, and then there's like. Yeah, there's this outer crescent that implies that there's kind of like a world beyond even that, is the way I'm interpreting that symbol in this context.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, so we're going to go with that symbol. That was great. Thank you. I want to save that one.
That's right on your forehead. Everyone will know.
That's a really cool one.
Or people will ask, they'll be like, "What is?"
Yeah, I think some will know. Probably not a lot of people. I think most people just think it looks really weird, but some people...
It'll be interesting to come across the people that do know.
Exactly. Like, there'll be a rarity, but when they happen, like, that's a big moment.
They'll be like, I know what you did.
But, like, if we were doing, like, an oracle on every single person that, like, whether or not they know, I think it would be in, like, the last category of, like, it's almost certainly not. But eventually somebody will hit that, like, yep, they know, and be like, oh shit. And what'll be really interesting is when it's like they know and we roll, like, you know, who was this person, like, what's that character's role, and it's like who minor is what came up, so it's like it's some minor, but they know, like they dug deep enough to find the secrets of the earth, and they found the original symbol in gold that looked that, you know, something. How's the world treat necromancy? We haven't really directly looked at that yet. It kind of just varies settlement to settlement. It's a very, like, divided culture where, like, any given town kind of has its own culture and rules, just because this is such a harsh land where there's not really an overall culture. So there we go. So did you want to indeed try and go back to the forest and see if you can find more moth musk?
Yes.
Okay. So...
gotta be some in there.
I think... Let's see. How should we best represent this in terms of dice rolls? You're not far enough that we ever made... I don't think you're a journey away. I think you can... If you want to go there, you can get there. And I think it's mostly about just, like, a couple of rolls in there to see what you can find. So, like... Let's take a look. I mean, again, it's kind of just another gather information where, like, you're searching an area, just to see if you can find moth musk again. I think we can get it all done in just that one roll, like just representing all of the time that you would have spent here. Like, can you find any moth musk? Or is there anything left to find? Have you picked everything that was there? Is there another patch? So, let's roll it. Oh, damn it. I accidentally closed gray out. There we go. Alright, so gather information. Are you able to find anything else in this forest? Okay. Got a weak hit. which I believe is going to be on the level of like, yes, but. So the information complicates your quest or introduces a new danger. Envision what you discover. Ask your Oracle of Unsure and take +1 momentum. So I think it would probably be the type of thing where, and let me know what you think, but maybe it's like there is some, but maybe some of those people that attacked the camp, like some amount of them never left or are back. Like there's people there that are nearby. Like you see it, but then you hear like other footsteps of and then see like it's those people that initially attacked you. They don't know, they're not aware you're there yet. This wasn't like a full miss, but like they're around and there's a bit of danger to try and get to them without being spotted. If you like that. Let me give you your momentum.
I don't know if it's worth it.
Is that at least an answer to that you like, or do you want to keep looking for something a little bit better to represent that? Okay. So then you hear these footsteps and you can see like they're not far away and seem to be like maybe on like a patrol or something. Like it sounds like one of the people, like they probably set up more of a camp here. And so somebody's just gathering supplies for their camping. I don't think it's literally one of the same people that you saw that night. But I think something about their way they're dressed, it makes it clear that they have the same affiliation.
Yeah. Okay. I think I will not risk it and try to find Moth Musk another time.
Okay. You at the very least know there is more to be had here at this moment. Like unless something happens to it, like the bounty is not closed in this forest. It's just not worth it. Okay. Well, yeah, if you're not going for it, then I think you can get away without a roll. Like the roll would be if you were taking on the danger to try and find it. Backing off that's fine. So yeah, you determine it's not worth it and back out of the forest with your health nice and at the top level still. It's a choose your battles thing. So what's next after you leave, now knowing that they obviously never fully left for whatever reason?
I don't know. Oh, I was thinking about, I really do want the Mothmas.
Hey, it's not too late. If you want to change your mind, we can.
I kind of want to wait till nightfall when they're like sleeping.
Okay. We can do that. So then, yeah. Then I think what we should probably do is like we can assume that you get back out of the if you leave the forest and like wait out there and then come back at night, then I think we can just assume that happens.
Yeah.
If you wanted to like, if you were trying to like wait it out nearby this whole time, I think that would be on the level where we need to see like, are you able to remain stealthy the whole time? Like, and it's like a shadow roll. So do you think you stuck around nearby, or like you'll come back later?
I think I come back later.
Okay. So then, yeah, you leave, you get out of the immediate area of danger unnoticed.
Yeah.
Wait till nightfall and come back.
I think I'm like going back and forth on the decision of going back, and then I finally just
actually decide. Honestly, I think we can represent that to help you build momentum even more. Honestly, I think that's secure an advantage. You assess the situation and you're trying to gain leverage by, let me come back at night when it's dark and it's easier to be unseen. Like, that's securing an advantage to me with expertise, insight, or observation. So I think this is a wits roll. Just like, you know what? Let's come back at night and hear that, or it's either a wits roll or edge to just be like, let me just get out of here and before it becomes a thing. Either way, it's the same number. So let's just roll secure an advantage with a +2 and see like, how well are you able to set up this better situation of like, I'll come back when it's darker? Because if this roll goes badly, maybe it is a sort of thing where it's like, you'd like to get out, but he's kind of going in the wrong direction and it's hard hard to pull it off. And anyway,
Yeah.
what'll probably happen is we'll get you some more momentum, which is nice. You're getting pretty up there. You're actually almost at your max. So we're gonna get you really able to dictate how you want this to go. So secure an advantage with wits. Oh, right. Hey, to put submit one more time. Oh shit. A complication.
No!
I tried. I tried to make it as, like, get you as well prepared for this as possible, but I guess every roll is indeed a, you never know. You're taking a risk.
So does the complication happen when I go back? Or is this a complication trying to secure the advantage?
Honestly, either one could make sense. It's however we make sense of this. Because the main level is it's a miss, so you fail your assumptions betray you. Like this, we could interpret that as the assumptions betraying you of like that they would be less active and less nearby at night. Like maybe it turns out they're way more active at night doing whatever the hell in this area, and we could figure out what the complication could be related to that, where it's like, you know, what things do they do at night that are interesting here that where they're more active in this area?
Practicing religious rituals, probably.
I mean, that's the first thing that came to my mind as well.
Rituals.
Yeah, like maybe there's a great sacrifice that is going on right now, and like before they were just gathering. It turns out the supplies they were gathering for it were like to be ready for the night ritual that happens, you know, as we approach midnight or whatever time you came here. But in the middle of the night, they call out to their dark god they call death, and show that they are true believers and have a. Yeah, I think because last time we saw these people, you had to run off to save yourself, and we never got a chance to like really reconvene with everybody else that you were traveling with. Like, we could definitely put this as like it's one of them that's being sacrificed right now.
Okay.
Now, I always want to strike the right balance of making things interesting but not being too mean. I have a tendency towards like falling into the pattern of the meaner I am, the more interesting it is. I'm trying to make sure to blunt that a little bit, but my mean instincts tell me to totally make it what's his name? The religion leader.
I knew it.
That's my mean instinct, but I'm willing to be blunted on that. If the only reason I go that far is just because it is a 9 complication. It's a big one. But if you think that's too much, I'll pull back, because I know that's one of my instincts is to go too mean and make it too difficult on our characters.
Yeah.
So what do you think?
Because then I'd have to rescue him and risk not getting Moth Musk, which is the whole reason I went there. And then there's ritual.
Exactly. And this is a complication on secure an advantage. It's not face danger, which is something I want to keep in mind. Like, this was one of the safer moves that you got this on, so I don't want to make it too big. So maybe not him. Do you remember what his name is, though? It's driving me nuts. I know it starts with a G. It's not Geethan, that's the other one. Glyn. Yeah.
Glyn?
Yeah. So my first instinct is to make it Glyn, but I'll blunt that and make it not Glyn, because honestly the odds are like something's probably, if it's been a couple of months, something's probably already happened to him.
Yeah.
So like it's probably not him for an even meaner reason.
Don't want to think about it.
No need to. But somebody else from there that was maybe they haven't been here this entire time, but they came back out here because there was some kind of significance to this spot from having like encountered them here. Like, I don't know their crazy cult reasonings, but there was some reason that they chose this spot to bring this person, to either bring this person back here or they've had him here the whole time. I don't know. Like I said, let's ask the Oracle. It's always an option here. I think it's a 50-50. It really doesn't matter all that much to me, but I'm just kind of curious. Like, have they been here this entire time, or did they come back tonight or today and then stuck around tonight? So let's see. Have they been here the entire time? No. Okay, so they came back. So there was something significant about this spot where the ritual had to be done here. And Yeah, it is a sacrifice.
Oh,
That is
well, I
clearly like, I
think
think there's a big roaring bonfire going on right now. That's again, it's not like they're like, let's make the bonfire next to the moth musk, but it's within earshot easily, so it's the type of thing where you could easily accidentally give away your presence if you know, snap a twig or something.
I think I just wait until one of their more noisier chants before
Okay.
slipping in and trying to
Yeah, find that good moment.
grab more moth musk.
Which I know
Which I
this
forget. It was moth musk a flower or was it?
uh
I forget.
I can't remember how we did. I know I think we described it. Yeah, it was a flower, and it released a kind of like spore from it that the moths ate.
Okay.
It was. I think that's how we
It's
described
like
it.
a reddish flower. Yeah.
Sure. I know this just burned you, but what you just described does sound a lot like securing an advantage again, where it's like securing the advantage of them being louder to try and get that, like, you know, maybe a +1 or something on the roll. Where
Mhm.
um so
Yeah,
let's do
I
it.
like that.
Can you get that nice advantage of having the exact right moment to have a little bit more cover up? Um, Again, I think this is probably wits. It's about having that observation of like, oh, you know what? The chanting is picking up right now. This would be a good moment.
Okay.
So let's see. Okay, this one was at least a weak hit, so not a double 9 complication. That's a step in the right direction. And on a weak
Thank
hit,
you.
your advantage is short-lived, but you take +1 momentum. So it sounds like whatever rituals and chanting they do ebb and flow a lot. So like, based on the patterns you've observed, you clearly don't have a lot of time, but there's probably a lot of repetition, and you're like, oh, I've heard this before. This will go on. I think I have time. So you get +1 momentum to be able to pull this off while the chanting is
Nice.
louder. Um, so now I think it's time for that all important face danger roll to do this. Um, Stealthily, I seems to be the most important part here. Like this seems like it's going to be a shadow roll, unless I guess here's the question. Obviously, your shadow is not your best stat, but you know it is a stat. If the importance is on doing this unnoticed, then obviously that sounds like shadow, and it seems like that's the direction you're leaning with this whole like trying to find where they're the loudest. If it's more just get in and out quickly enough so that like you can escape before they can do anything about it, then obviously you could use edge. Um, but
Yeah, I think.
it sounds like
Yeah,
you're more
edge makes
shadow
sense.
leaning in terms of your approach.
Can it be both? It just feels like it's both, but
It's the thing, like
okay.
it kind of is both, but in the end we're gonna have to choose one as the one that best represents what's going on here.
Okay.
I'm good with you doing
Okay.
either one. It'll just definitely flavor a little bit like what it means to succeed or not.
Okay.
So what do you think? Is it more about just get in and out quickly so that they can't stop you, or be so stealthy that they don't even know you're there to begin with, knowing that you're just not quite as good as that?
Yeah, let's do shadow.
Okay, cool. Key, and the other thing to remember, you have almost maximum momentum. So even if this goes poorly, if this is important to you, like we can, the odds are good you can turn this into a strong hit or at least a
Okay.
weak hit.
Yeah.
You have an 8, so you're looking pretty good. Nothing's ever certain until it happens, but you got a good position here. So let's face that danger with Shadow. Okay. It is a miss, but as we just mentioned, it is one that if you burn momentum, you could turn that into a strong hit. So
Yes, let's burn that momentum.
I'd recommend it. I think that it's a good moment for it. You've built it almost all the way up. Like, hey, you don't want to wind up in a situation later where it's like, man, I just got more momentum, but I'm already at my peak anyway. So like, seems like a good opportunity to do it. You always want those times where you can actually get a full usage out of it, of like make it into a strong hit. You had that moment. It seems important, and let's do it. I'll set it back down to
Yep.
+1. Momentum burned, strong hit earned. Oh, that reminds me. Actually, there was another thing that Delve introduced that we can start implementing. There's the learning from failure mechanic, where anytime you get a miss, like a full-on miss, not a weak hit, which has happened twice so far. There's been the complication, and now this miss, though I don't think this one would count because he turned it into a strong hit. You kind of proceed along a failure track, and eventually you might be able to get some experience out of it. I don't really have a great way to mark that on. I guess I could make it one of the lines down here if you want to do that additional bookkeeping. Or do we want to just, like, skip out on that?
I do like the idea of it.
Okay, then sure. I'll make this bottom line that's currently unmarked the just learning from failure track.
Okay.
And I will give you the 1 tick for the complication that you have. So it fills up slowly, but eventually, after enough failure, you'll have a chance to maybe learn something from it and then get experience points out of it. Depending on how that goes, you might be able... It might require you to, like, turn in, like, basically cash in one of your assets and you could use it for another one. Or if you do well, then you could just get free experience points. Like, it's kind of a cool system.
I still have some.
You do.
Didn't use for anything.
You definitely do have some to spend, and you are free to use them at any time, especially since you just took a couple of months off.
Yeah.
Anything that makes sense of how you could have developed in that time, feel free. But anyway, I will give you your tick on this failure track and mark that down there. Let me just label this. The learn from failure track. So basically, you won't be able to do anything with this until you fully fill in at least 6 boxes. And right now, all you have is 1/4 of the first box is filled.
Okay.
So it's going to be a while before you can even possibly make use of that. But one day, once it's filled enough, we treat it like a progress roll where it's like, okay, roll two 10-sided dice. How does it compare to how filled in that track was? Is that a strong hit, a weak hit, or a miss? Depending on how that goes, you get different things. It's really cool. Even on a miss, you can get something out of it. It's just kind of like...
yeah, I like that.
I think you get like 1 experience point on a miss, but you also have to describe how your character like learns the wrong lesson from your failures. Like, it's interesting. It adds some more flavor to the world. Anyhow, because that is now a strong hit, totally, you get away with it. The face danger is a success. You are successful and take +1 momentum, so we'll put that up to a 2. There you go. And yeah, you find that moment in the ritual. They're going on. They probably even have their heads back and like chanting the sky, eyes closed, arms raised. Like, it's a moment where they're especially not paying attention to the world around them, just like reaching a cacophony of their voices all chanting together towards the sky as these embers wick up into the stars. And you grab that moth musk and escape with it. So if you would like to, I think you have earned the ability to get out of this whole situation unnoticed. Is that your plan? Or is there anything else here that you want to accomplish?
I'm thinking I really want to get Flint back into a body.
Oh,
So
I'm happy with this desire. I appreciate your focus on it.
So I'm thinking oh, right, I don't have
Thank you for
gold.
that.
Damn it.
It's true. I think we can probably... since... Let's give another progress on the getting Flint back to the body, because we know, like, this was probably enough to get, like, the rest of what you needed. And you now have one of the main ingredients that we know is missing. So let's give progress.
Yeah.
So let me put progress on there. Yeah, I think each of the ingredients that you require will be a progress, and, you know, let's see, so that's 2 more for, I'm looking at the track now, so that's 2 more, room for 2 more for ingredients, 1 more for getting the right person, and then another one for, like, completing the ritual. Yeah, we have, it works pretty much exactly with how many boxes are left. Keeping in mind, we don't necessarily have to fill it up all the way, so, like, I guess presumably, like, in theory, we could try and do it right now and just be like, And we just montage through the rest of it and assumed you were able to collect the rest of the ingredients. How well did you do that? But the more that we do on screen, the more likely it is to have gone well.
Gotcha.
But yeah, we've now filled up that track halfway. So good on you.
Yay.
I'll definitely have to look at some point back at like when do I just want to read something real quick about when threats advance. Okay, so triggering the move. These are the three. There are three triggers that can advance a threat. Because I know the one is like when you take downtime. I just want to make sure that we're treating it right. So if you choose to ignore a situation or deal with more pressing matters, for example, you undertake an unrelated quest and spend time pursuing that goal while your threat-driven vow is neglected. Okay, you definitely haven't done that. You're right on task with this one. Actually, technically no, because you're working on the body situation, not the.
I want to see if
not the.
if there's...
Not the obelisk one, but I don't think you've exactly spent a lot of time ignoring the situation. Like, if this winds up being a really extended thing, then that could count as a trigger. But for now, I don't think it's been long enough. Another trigger is you fail in a critical moment when opposing some aspect of the threat or create an opportunity for the threat. For example, you attack the minions of a threat but are defeated. Okay, so like if the plot comes up and you fail, then that would be another advanced one. And then time passes as you undertake lengthy expeditions to recover from your adventures. For instance, okay, so if a lot of time passes, if you're like clearly ignoring this for a while to pursue something else, or if in something related to the threat you fail. So far, I think we're right to have not advanced the threat for anything. Just wanted to check and make sure before I went on too long and be like, oh, that threat never had a chance.
I kind of want to prolong that threat, though, because I would like to, while they're chanting, I assume all these people are there in that one spot around this ritual.
Yeah.
I kind of want to look for gold. I want to poke around.
Oh, see if like they have
I guess
any?
they're at a camp. Yeah, so like
That's
maybe they have like tents or something. I want to look around, see if I can find anything gold.
Okay. Just in case for some reason it becomes relevant later, do you have the moth musk on you, or do you like stash it somewhere?
That's a good question.
Granted, I don't know what the real big difference is between like stashing the moth musk in a place and having it growing in a place. I guess it could be like in a more hidden place that only you know about.
I think I have a pouch. I think I'm just stuffing it in whatever pouch.
Okay. Well then, yeah, if you want to try and kind of like circle back around to wherever they're like sleeping and their tents are, where they have their belongings, I am in full support of this. That is an interesting turn to this I had not thought about, but like, yeah, maybe they've got some precious stuff on them.
Yeah. Initially, Gray was just going for the moth musk, but then she's like, wait a
Yeah,
minute.
maybe you're on your way out and it hits you.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I could get two birds with one nugget of metal. Okay. Well, then, this is going to be some more stealth stuff, I think. This time you don't have the momentum to save you, but yeah, let's see if you can face danger and like circle back around to their tents and get that opportunity to explore unnoticed. Because yeah, I think that their tents are certainly not like right next to the fire or anything. I think there's a little bit of distance away, and they have, they're busy, and all of the light is concentrated in that area, and the tents are darker. So like, I think if you get past them, you'll be in a pretty good position to not be noticed, but you have to get there first.
Mm.
So let's see. Is there anything else that you want to do first to try and like secure an advantage on this to just help your odds, or is it just be stealthy? Any preparations that you can think of that would like help make sure that you're not noticed when you make this trip across?
I can't think of anything, but
I'm trying to think.
Yeah, I'm just trying to be stealthy.
Okay.
Be as quiet as possible.
Hey, that makes complete sense. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think if I can think of anything, because I don't want you to fail on this. And I know that like making sure to secure an advantage decently often, and like building that momentum track is so crucial to actually find his success and not being just like ground into the
Yeah.
pavement. I'm trying to think.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm trying to think of something like clever. And the problem is I'm not clever. So
All I could think of was if I yeah, that won't be securing
like
anything.
there could be a distraction sort of thing, but then that runs the risk of like if this roll goes wrong, that seems like a good
Yeah.
reason would be like it
Yeah.
could go very wrong.
I was thinking, what if I threw a rock in the opposite direction I want to
Yeah.
go? But that'd be stupid to do that now. I
Yeah.
would say if I might use something like that if
Oh, okay.
they
The one thing I could think of. Okay. So we know that they aren't the most reliable things, but your hands have made weird magical effects before. The only thing I can think of is like if you found a way to like make the fire react in a way that seemed even more just like the gods are responding to our chanting, like that got them more into it. But that's a bit of a stretch, and
yeah.
let's just have you make the roll and see how you do.
Okay.
Unless you can think of anything else, but I can't. Not that's not just treading the
No, I
same
can't.
territory of just like, and then you wait for them to be at a good moment again. But that seems kind of cheating to just like keep treading the same stuff.
Yeah.
Especially since we knew that moment was short lived. We already kind
We
of
already know they're distracted
yeah.
and
So let's do it. Let's face
the
danger
likeliness. Okay.
with shadow. Let's see how you do. Yeah, it's a miss. Those
Come
were
on.
those are some high rolls on that challenge die. If it helps, even if you had the momentum that you just had before, you wouldn't have been able to take care of that. Those were just really high numbers.
Maybe someone is in their tent still.
Yeah, I like that idea.
I don't want the whole group after
no,
me
exactly.
again.
I think if it were a complication, the whole group. But no, I like that a lot actually. Where it's not that you were spotted along the way; it's that there was this assumption that the tents were empty, and they're not, and that's more interesting to me. So I like that. Yeah, you fail or your progress is undermined by a dramatic and costly turn of events. Pay the price, and yeah, that dramatic and costly turn of events is there's somebody back here in the tents who's not
What if
involved
it's a
in
dog?
a dog. Okay,
A dog that just starts barking at me.
okay, I'm
Like,
cool with that too. So yeah, somebody has a pet here who is guarding this area, and actually I want to know. Let's roll on an oracle. Like, are they? I was going to determine whether the dog is friendly or more of a guard dog, but considering this came up on a miss of like this was a dramatic and costly turn of events, I feel like it's got to
yeah.
be a more aggressive dog.
Yeah.
Like either way, they could make a lot of noise, but I think it's more fitting for it to be an aggressive dog.
I do
So
too.
the price is so the price could be a number of things still though, because now the most obvious one that we could go with is it starts making a lot of noise and it alerts them, and so now how much can you get done before you get out of here and like get noticed? That's an obvious complication or price to pay. It could also be something more like in order to quiet the dog, you had to like get in a tussle that's already done with, and like you got bit, and so like you've gotten injured. Um, on the level of like your health goes down, not like you are now wounded. Yeah, like it could be something like like this, where it's like minor and mostly over with, but just like something bad happens. What would you
Um,
prefer?
I want to.
Obviously, working
I
with
want.
what makes sense for your character.
I want to like kind of like shush the dog, but start looking faster for something because
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I still feel like maybe the chanting is too loud for them
Okay.
to hear. The dog. I want to risk that just a little bit
Okay. Um,
and just like kind of scramble to look for something.
I'm good with that. We just need to figure out like in this moment, like before you get a chance to try and quiet the dog, like what is the price that you pay that's affecting you like right now?
Oh, okay. I gotta pay a price.
Yeah. Like
I mean,
obviously
I
it starts making
imagine.
noise, but unless that has repercussions now, then it's not truly paying the price yet. It's kind of like making you potentially pay the price later. So I just want to give some kind of like, if that's the case, I just want to give some little extra detail that impacts you
imagine. Yeah, I just would imagine we have to roll to see if anyone heard the dog while I'm doing this. But okay,
we could do like
maybe
a knock to your spirit or something, because it's like the danger of if you don't quiet this dog quickly, like they're gonna find you, and you know that's really dangerous. It could be like just a morale thing.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do that. That way, that we can indeed kind of justify, like, since something has happened to you now, I think it's okay to be like, the real effects might not be here yet. Like, there's still a looming danger. So let me move down that supply. Or not supply, I'm sorry, spirit. And make you roll an endure stress roll. Who knows, you might get it right back. Let's see. So let's endure stress. We're going to use your... Yeah, your spirit is still going to be the highest one. Let me make sure this is... There we go. Everything has got to be up to where it is. Oh my god, Kat. Has it ever worked? Or have you just all of your life spent hours and hours making this same attempt to no success? Please learn from your failures, Kat. Okay, here is that roll with your spirit. Okay. No, it's a miss. Which doesn't make your current situation worse, but it does mean that... I was surprised, actually, because he had a nice full-on like +4 to that roll, but sadly rolled kind of low. For you'll suffer -1 momentum. Is all it means. It's just a shame because you had decent chance to get a strong hit on that, which you might have been able to shake it off and everything. But yeah, you'll lose a momentum because it's stressful and you're having to take this moment. Like I guess it kind of makes sense. Like you're having to take this moment to like quiet this damn dog down before you can try and find what you're looking for. So let me move that down. It's standing in your way. It's undermining your progress. And okay, so you wanted to make an attempt to probably compel this dog to be quiet. Anything I should know about like the way you do that?
I try to like hold out my hand to like kind of coax it to calm down. Maybe it'll sniff me
just like convince that you're
realize
friendly.
it. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. That definitely sounds like just compelling with heart then. Be all friendly, like, have the dog recognize. It's like, oh man, if you have a, you could try and secure an advantage with the classic, like, look, I have some jerky or something.
Maybe I have some jerky on me.
Yeah. I mean, you're full up on supply, so your pack probably has, like, stuff and food in it now, if you want to go that route.
Yeah, I mean, let's go with that route.
Okay, then
probably have a little bit of jerky on me.
Let's try and secure an advantage then with that sounds closest to wits, just having the insight to be like, ooh, I got something that the dog will like. Definitely sounds more like that than like edge or iron or shadow or anything. It's just, wait a minute. Dogs like meat. They'll bond pretty quickly to being fed. All right, secure an advantage with wits gives you a complication. Apparently this is a vegetarian dog.
Damn it! I should have rolled heart. Why'd you convince me to change my mind?
Hey, well, if you had rolled... If this had been a heart roll, this actually would have been a strong hit. In fact, it would have been a critical.
Take these backsies.
It's too late. The dice have hit the table.
No.
But yeah, that actually would have been the difference. That one more would have meant that this is had the dice rolled the same, that you would have had a critical hit instead of a critical failure. But at least this is only on the secure and advantage part. Like it's not like you critically failed to get what you need or to calm the dog down. It's just I think it's probably that, like, maybe you're rummaging through your bag, and like in that moment of stress, like it's like, fuck, I can't find anything. Like, where is it? I know it's here. I know I have food, and so it's like taking that more time. And in that time, like, the dog has just had plenty of opportunity to just bark its head off, and like somebody is somebody is caught wise. Now they're still all the way over there, so they haven't seen you, but somebody has gotten their mind enough taken out of the ritual to be like, oh my god, what the hell is going on? It's probably the person whose dog it is.
Yeah.
Who's just like, oh my god, cat, shut the fuck up. And you're interrupting my ritual. And is going to try and take care of that to not so it doesn't interfere with everybody else. Yeah. I think if this had been the actual you calming the dog or you trying to find something, the complication would be bigger. But considering this is a complication on just you looking in your pack for having jerky or whatever, like, that feels like a big enough repercussion for you doing basically nothing. So yeah, we've initiated the small clock on when this person's going to get here, and I think you're aware of this. Like, through the dog's barking, you can hear the footsteps are coming. You can hear that they're not here yet, but you don't have a lot of time to take care of this. And it probably occurs to you that at this point, even if you were to calm the dog, like, who knows? Maybe if you did it really fast, they'd go away and be like, I guess it's fine. But it might be too late. It would be a gamble, knowing that you only have precious moments to do anything. Like, if they go into this tent, every moment counts to be out of here. So, I guess that's my question. Do you take the time to still try and calm the dog beforehand, just in hopes that they'll change their minds, or do you just be like, fuck, I don't have time for that, and leave, or fuck, I don't have time for that, so I better rummage as fast as I can? Like, well,
do I see anything in plain sight?
Well, not in plain sight. I want to know if
there's
I don't think anybody keeps gold out in plain sight. I think no matter what, it would.
If they don't use it for money, I don't see why not.
But it would still be precious to some degree. Just not traded around and used as like a currency.
I'm gonna try and pet the dog. I'm gonna try and just be like, hey, and like get down on its level and just like, hey, it's okay.
Just go the route of maybe there's still time to calm the dog, and this person will be like, all right, it's fine. He shut up on his own. Okay. That might honestly be the good play. Like, lean into, you've got your high stat here. Use the big one to try and get out of the situation.
Which I should have used first.
I know, I feel bad. You were just about to do it, and I was like, hey, I should push you towards securing more advantages. And so far, that's gone poorly. That's led
pushing your jerky. You're a vegetarian. What the hell?
That's led to 2 complications trying to just be prepared for this. Okay.
Damn it, Jay.
Or we're up against the clock, so like in real life as well. So we're leading towards the ending moment. If this goes poorly, I know exactly what the ending cliffhanger will be, but okay, so we're gonna compel with heart and see, can you calm the dog down in time to just make him change his mind? If this goes poorly, like, I don't think you're gonna get another chance. Another complication. Your heart failed. It rolled minimum on heart. I'm sorry.
Okay.
So, I think, as mentioned, since we need to wrap up the stream anyway, I think the perfect moment to go out on is the one where you're like in the middle of trying to calm this dog down, and you're like, no, please, I'm friendly and everything, and it's like just, backing up and hair bristling. Like, clearly this was obvious, like an actual trained guard dog. It wasn't just a dog who's like, this is a stranger and I should be like wary, but like obviously had some training against this sort of thing, and is like full on bristling and like snaps at your fingers. I think it doesn't bite you. I think you pull your hand back in time because you're like, you're fast like that. But in this time of you trying to deal with the dog, the tent flaps open up, and there's the person right behind you. And we see the exclamation mark over their head as they see you and know that you're there. There's that moment where you recognize each other, and executive producer Midnight Jester 8 and Blinking Firefly. Like we cut to credits there. We'll see what happens next time. So that has been session 16 of Ironsworn. I hope you guys have enjoyed. I feel like we were back in the groove this time. Last time was a little bit. We had a few weeks off. We were kind of like moving the gears to get there. And even though we spent a lot of time figuring things out, I don't know. I felt a lot more on top of it today. And
yeah, but now we're going back down that
we are
rough road.
But you are in a better situation, and he hasn't alerted the others yet. Maybe there'll still be a chance to take care of that before it becomes more of a thing. But who knows? We'll have to see what happens next time. So yeah, this has been another session of Ironsworn. Again, if you are interested in doing a game of your own, it is a perfect game for right now if you don't have a lot of social contact with people for some reason, because you can play this entirely by yourself. No GM, no prep. Just get the book, get some dice, get a sheet of paper, and make some notes, and you can have an interesting story that just develops in ways that you'll never anticipate. I remember first time I tested it out and just did that very thing and was just like pacing around my kitchen, figuring stuff out along the fly, and just became immediately enamored with how cool what happened was. Like, that I had not planned at all, anything but the barest details. So head to ironswornrpg.com and pick up a copy. And if you really love it, buy a copy of Delve, or maybe buy a hardback cover of the rulebook. It's a cool game. Yeah. If you haven't seen the full episode or haven't seen any of the ones leading up to this, we do have the VODs available on YouTube. There's a link to that down below, so you can catch up on the other episodes. But otherwise, I've been Midnight Jester 8. This is Blinking Firefly over here. She does her own channel. What can we find over there?
You can find lots of music, lots of singing, and lots of that.
Fantastic stuff that I highly recommend you head over there and check her out sometime.
I'm so convincing.
It's a very different stream from this one, but if you want to be soothed with a beautiful voice and some great music, definitely head over there. Otherwise, I do some music of my own on Sunday nights here on this Twitch channel. 5 to 9 p.m. Pacific time. I do cello requests, and I'm starting to do some more games during the week around this same time. So this is 7 p.m. Pacific time is when this stream starts, and often around that time I've been doing other games. I just finished up Ori and the Will of the Wisps, and I'm probably going to be starting up something new on like Wednesdays and Friday. Like Monday, Wednesday, Friday is kind of what I've been aiming towards. Just some like evening streams for a couple of hours. I might be doing some Celeste soon. I want to get back into that.
Yes.
Yeah. So
that one's fun.
Yeah, might be doing some Celeste tomorrow during that time. And anyway, hope you guys have enjoyed. Thank you for hanging out with us, and thank you again, Wicked, for that great suggestion about the symbol. It looks really cool.
That's pretty awesome.
I'll post that in the YouTube information so anybody who's like, if you've gotten to this point, you're like, damn, I really wish I'd seen what that symbol was. I'll make sure the info is there so you can take a look at it. You can just look down below the video player now. Anyway, I'll see you all around. Thanks for joining us. Bye.